so this is going to relate to the boutique as well. So this is why, this is when we're going to start connecting those dots. But staying consistent with quality photography, you're really showing your audience that you care just as much about the way you look as the way you're going to serve them and give them a high-end experience. So you also want to be posting these all the time. And there's a place for these in stories as well. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. But there's a time and a place for both, and both can live together. And using the professional photography, though, really shows that you're that next level, taking it to that next level. And I know that's a little bit of white noise, but we'll try to clear that up, because you really do want to take your business to the next level. You want to show that you're not cutting corners. And I put this in there, they can be confident you're not going to serve them hot dogs and French fries when they sit at your dinner table, unless that's what they ordered. But likely all of you chefs aren't getting orders for hot dogs and French fries. But really it's about the feeling. There's a lot of feeling behind photos, and that's what you're trying to evoke. And anytime that you can match a photo, and that's why I spend so much time trying to figure out what to shoot for the boutique every month, is because I want to match a photo with something that we're saying in words. Because the moment you do that, it resonates so much more with your audience, because they can visually see what you're talking about. So it's about creating a feeling. Okay, so the where and the how of professional food photography. I mean, the how is the boutique, to be honest with you, in many ways, or a custom, session with me, but the boutique is going to kind of get you that jumping off point. Professional food photography, for the where, is you should only be using it on your website. Like, there should be no phone photos on your website. Especially at the level that you guys are in your businesses, there is no reason for you to not have some kind of professional photography. And you can use stock, although that's the S word to me. And the boutique is essentially kind of a stock membership, but it's very small. And so not everybody in the world has access to the photos, and you don't have to worry about the user licensing with their photo that you do when you have stock photos, because you can actually be charged for those. You can use them wrong and get a cease and desist letter. I mean, there are things that can go wrong with those stock photos that they don't always tell you about. But with mine, you don't have to worry about any of that. And you get somebody who's actually hand touching. That I literally styled this turkey sandwich, and my hands were on it, and then I hand edited it, and it's custom. I call it custom stock because it's really customized. And custom because you guys can make requests at any time. So that's pretty cool too. But all in all, your website should only have professional photography in whatever sense it is. Next, you should be using it in your email campaigns, any email welcome series, and marketing in general. So your IG feed. So if you're doing a post with a picture, don't use a phone photo, use a professional photo. There's a difference between the stories, and the reason I push those so hard with your phone stuff is because those only last like 24 hours and then they disappear. And they're not top of mind, and people know that that's real life. But when you're running a business, you need to have a little bit more curated, high-end look to your feed. It doesn't mean you have to like make sure all the pictures are the same color and all of that. And people get really hyper about some of that with feeds and stuff, and that's not necessary. But if you just overall get that sense and that feel to your audience when they go to your Instagram or posts or your website, you should really be showing them, you know, that you care about what you look like. The other thing about your website and that I meant to mention is that it is your storefront. Whether you have a brick and mortar or not, you also have a storefront on your website. So you think about if you walk into a website, or if you walk into a restaurant, right? And let's say you walk in and you see all this beautiful, expensive tables and lighting, and oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And they've spent so much time and energy on that. And you're seated and your server walks over in ripped jeans, and you can tell he just smoked a cigarette out back, and he's like all disheveled, and he kind of throws the menus at you. And then the specials for the day are like the place down the street that you had dinner at 2 nights ago. They're copying their specials. Okay, so now you walk into your website, you know, quote unquote, walk into your website. You open your website and you've got beautiful logo that you spent all this money on. You spent all this money on a website designer, and your copy is spot on, and you know, everything's pristine. But then you have stock photography, which is everybody else has on their website, like that looks the same. Or you have phone photos that are a disheveled mess, and it's a total mismatch to what you're trying to communicate. And it'd be the same thing if you walked into somebody's restaurant and, you know, had a server like that. So you probably need to get rid of that server, and you probably need to get rid of those images and replace it so that it matches the aesthetic of, you know, what you're trying to come across. Okay. I believe very much in the website thing. So if you can't tell, brochures and takeaway menus, online ordering platforms. These are pretty obvious, you know, brochures and takeaway menus, and you don't need a million pictures for this. You need 1 or 2 really nice high-end pictures to put on. And you notice I didn't say actual menus. So like if somebody's sitting down at a table and they're, you know, looking at a menu, there aren't going to be pictures on it unless you're sitting at a diner. So, you know, that's why I excluded that. Online ordering platforms, I do want to put a caveat here because I know we have some restaurants here, and that is different than your website. And it doesn't mean you don't need professional photos, but it isn't as big of an investment as a full styled shoot, right? So your online ordering platforms are, a photo shoot for that is like, once we set, you know, white background or whatever background you want and how you want them to look, we just, you know, your chef is here and we're just kind of like assembly line, taking them in and out, shooting it on that white background. So it isn't as big of a deal, but you still want those to be professionally shot so that they, especially if you have a nice restaurant, you don't want to be like selling, you know, having that mismatch look again. But it is less expensive to do those online ordering platforms. I just wanted to caveat that because you do need a picture of every dish when you have those platforms, but you don't need a picture of every single dish on your menu for your website. You need like some really good, solid, you know, 7 to 10 high-end styled photos for that. And that elevates you immediately. Finally, magazine publications, cookbooks, all of those things. I mean, if you're to the point of magazine and cookbooks, you know, you need professional images for that. And one thing I will say is that whether you're self-publishing, whether you're working with a publisher, whether you're going to be, whether you want a picture of every recipe or not, I honestly don't believe that you need a picture of every recipe if you want the high-end look to your cookbook. And I know that kind of goes against the grain of what chefs, really, I mean, I used to be there and I actually did a cookbook myself. I had pictures taken and everything. And I had 12 pictures done because that was all I could afford. And because if you have 100 recipes, that's going to cost you like $100,000, no joke. So keep in mind that you don't have to, you'd rather have an elevated look than having a so-so picture or a picture that isn't worth it in every single recipe. So just keep that in mind. Okay, what do we have for questions on this? Let's see. Comment on where to use the imagery. Not only, this is Monica's comment is where to use the imagery. Not only are the pictures great for Instagram, but she uses, Monica's a part of the program. She uses them a lot in her newsletters as well. So that was the email campaigns and series. And sometimes she even writes the newsletter around the images. So they kind of inspire her to write something, which is awesome. I love hearing that. All right. Any other questions? I don't want to skip over anybody. Let's see. For a pitch to a potential publisher for a cookbook, would you recommend a professional photo to accompany the recipes you send as part of the pitch? Yes. So, and when you are doing a cookbook, publishing companies are going to wrap the costs in, but it's still good to have those visuals. You again want to match the visuals with what you're doing. So again, you don't need a picture of every single recipe that you're going to submit, but some of your highlights, really good idea to include those pictures with it because it shows that you're that next level too. So the visuals mean a lot in a lot of ways, and they this day and age, it's not a nice to have anymore. It's almost a necessity. I hate to say that. It's not like I'm trying to, I will always be honest with you guys. If you come to me and say, I need to have a photo shoot done, or I want to have a photo shoot done, and, I don't feel like it would be a benefit to you to do a full custom shoot, I wouldn't do that to you. So I'll always tell you the truth. Okay, so I'm going to talk really quickly about the benefits of the boutique, and then I'm going to give you the codes, and then I'm going to do the Canva lesson because that kind of like connects all the dots for us. So benefits, Monica's kind of already given us a couple, which is really cool. Thank you, Monica. But you feel confident sharing photos that the entire world doesn't have access to. And on top of that, is the licensing terms I touched on earlier, is that there are image licensing for any photographer who takes pictures. And a lot of times those stock photos are free, but sometimes you can use them in a way and you get caught and you don't, because everybody clicks, I understand the terms, right? But we don't actually open that. I mean, I'm guilty of it all the time. I don't actually open it and read it. I just click, I understand. And then someone comes along behind you and says, excuse me, you can't use that photo that way. And they'll send you an invoice, or they'll, send you a letter or something. So just keep that in mind. With ours, our photos in the boutique are all licensed for all digital platforms. You can use them anywhere you like. They are not formatted for printing, but if you need to print some in a brochure or something like that, you just reach out to us and let us know, because there has to be little tweaks done to printing. So I like to have control. I'm a control freak. I like to have control over what you receive so you get the best. you're relieved. Our team supports you, helps you with all your website design too. So you have access to website design support. You can have access to that. And this kind of support doesn't come with like Canva stock images or, iStock or whatever, you don't get that kind of support. This is meant to be personal. It's meant to see you succeed. And that's really the only reason I made it. You get back your time because we're giving you some prompts. Like Monica said, it inspires her. Maybe we can't think of anything to write that month for an email, and you get a picture of a cupcake. You're like, oh, I could talk about those cupcakes I tried to make and had an epic fail or something like that, just something fun. And then you're going to raise your perceived value. And I can't tell you, I pretty much will say any client that I've ever had a conversation with has always said they get price shoppers when they first come to me, because their perceived value isn't high enough that I can tell you, I guess I can tell you from my point of view. So personally, I have had national brands come to me and talk to me about, working together, and they immediately say to me and assume that they cannot afford me. I've had many people say, I cannot afford you. And I'll say, but you haven't even asked what my price is, but my perceived value is higher because they've looked at my website. So just keep that in mind, and you would have access to those photos. All right, so what's included, you can request custom photos of your recipes. So there's a form that you just fill out. This was actually a request. And you can have access to me for website design support. There are two options. One includes that and one doesn't. Social media and marketing prompts, like I said, and then just a small group of like-minded professionals. You don't, this is meant to be small. So I launched this at the end of last year, and this is only the second time I've opened it up, and it's just a small group of founders members right now. And now we're opening it up again. So it's not meant to be huge so that you're not seeing these pictures everywhere. Okay, so the things in the list in black, those three things are included for everyone. And then option 1 is a monthly membership, and it's photos that you are available for download. Everybody gets the same photos every single month, but you just don't have access to the bank of unlimited images that we already have. And the link expires at the end of every month. So you would be responsible for downloading those images. Option 2, you get unlimited access to the bank. You can download any images at any time, past and future, and you also get that feedback support. You can ask for every 6 months if you want to get like a video feedback session with me that goes over your website and, tell you where you might have design holes or what might need to be tweaked, those type of things. It's just good to have second eyes. So Marissa's going to drop a link that gets sent to you. And then this is the whole, we've got just, it's not rolling. All different kinds, bright and airy, dark and moody, holiday, all kinds of things. So I just, wanted to show you that.